Well, they went for it. Callie is back, aka A. Have not seen her since season 2 of Stranger Things in that one episode, The Lost Sister. And it is a big swing, and there's a lot of pros and cons that can come out of her return. I want to make it clear that I am open to the fact that they have brought her back. There is a chance they can redeem her character. They could bring her back in a way that works. There is also ways that they can bring her back to where it doesn't ultimately end up working. And it's a big swing, because if it doesn't work, then there is going to be a lot of talk about whether it was even worth it bringing her back or not. Because they could have easily have not brought her back and no one really would have batted an eye because of how the reception of her episode was, and how even up to this point, they haven't brought her back up to this point. It wasn't like she was mentioned in season 4. That was it. She doesn't appear in season 4. She briefly gets mentioned in some lab flashbacks. So we'll go right into this. I like going with the cons first, and then we'll go into the pros, because I want to be optimistic about Callie's return. We're going to go with the cons. I do not want a world where there's like this unearned idea that Callie takes down Vecna. You know, if Vecna goes down, I think it has to be 11, and it can't really be anyone else. It's set up to be 11. Whether Elle is going to have to sacrifice herself in the process, we're going to have to wait and see. But Callie being the one to kill Vecna would be insanely unearned. Like I said, we haven't seen her since season 2. We don't really know what she's been up to. We don't even know how. Of course, she got captured by the government, and she's been in the Upside Down. Clearly, they're using her powers for something. Still in the dark about that. I do expect to see a lot more explanations for why Callie is where she is right now in volume 2, but I don't want a scenario where Callie's the one that takes down Vecna, because that would be insanely unearned. It wouldn't feel satisfying, in my opinion, and that's kind of what you want at the end of the day. I don't want some unearned thing. I want all these actions to feel like it's earned from the character, and Elle would be insanely earned. And in fact, if it was Callie and not Elle, I feel like that would be insanely unjust on Elle and her own character journey. Next con that I have is, as we know, Will now also has powers. He can tap into Vecna's powers, so it's not inheritance powers, which I think is a cool way to give him that ability without it feeling also out of the blue and like, why didn't this happen sooner? He's just tapping into powers, so it makes a little bit more sense. It's digestible that way. But I don't want a scenario where this is feeling like the Avengers, you know, like Avengers Endgame, where you have Will, Cal, and Elle only, and I really emphasize the word only, them to like unite together and kill Vecna like they're the Avengers. Like, I know it's like a joke going around the internet, like that, it's funny, but I just don't hope it actually happens. Let's keep that as a joke, because Will, Callie, and Elle, I just don't want it to feel like they needed all these different components to just combine now, when like this could have happened in even season 4, like I said. But I just like the scenarios where I feel like the main characters are kind of defeating these supernatural forces while being the underdogs, while they don't have these supernatural forces. I like when they're able to take down these entities by outsmarting the villain, not outpowering the villain per se. And I feel like if they only did Will, Callie, and Elle, and like I said, by only, I mean like no other main characters have any involvement in killing Vecna, I think that would be insanely unearned as well. I'm just going to use the word unearned again, but just a Will, Callie, and Elle trio team up using their powers to defeat Vecna, and just I don't think would be a satisfying way to go about it either. I feel like that would just be a little too out of the blue and just not really feel like there was a good build up to that. That's my personal opinion. Another con I have is I actually don't want them to kill Callie off too soon. I'm open to them killing Callie in general. There can definitely be a route where they go with that, but it'd be so pointless now to kill her off so soon, like in episode 5 or 6. I feel like she kind of has to last a little long. And also, if you're gonna kill Callie, you gotta make sure that people, I guess, actually can feel some sort of impact with her death. If you killed her right now, we don't have that attachment to Callie. I feel like you almost need to build that up again. So even if she does go whatever route her character goes, it can feel like an impacting death and feel like her return, her choice of bringing her back is actually worthwhile. So I really hope that Callie actually now has a long-lasting role till the end. I hope it's in a certain way. Like, I don't want certain things to happen, like I've already mentioned, but if they're gonna kill Callie, do it in the back half. I think just killing her so soon now, as like early on in volume 2 I'm talking, would be just kind of pointless. Like, just don't bring her back at that point. I feel like a waste of time. Now that you brought her back, it's a really, really gutsy move, but you brought her back. You gotta now basically stand on business and deliver and actually give us a reason about why you brought her back. Show us why you brought her back and why this was a good decision. And this is the final con I have. Basically just audience backlash. I went into this. I'm also not a fan of the Lost Sister episode. I think it is easily the worst episode of the entire show. It feels like the black herring of the entire show. And it's not even Callie that I hate. I actually think Callie and Elle's dynamic even is like the most tolerable thing about that episode. But we just did not need a whole episode dedicated to that plot line. We don't even really need to see her gang. They're so uninteresting. They're so annoying and boring, like very forgettable as well. It's important stuff, like Callie now is important stuff, but that episode, you know, is the reason why Callie just kind of went away for a very long time and wasn't looked back on until just now. So the audience backlash, if they don't use Callie in good ways, is going to ramp up, and that will be a big, big factor if people are going to actually be on board with this or not. So we have to wait till volume 2. I'm not judging them bringing Callie back. Honestly, I actually kind of respect the fact that they had the guts to do it, because it is the one red herring on their show, which is deemed one of the greatest shows ever. So we have to, I think, put some trust in the directors that they actually know what they're doing with this. So I will give them benefit of the doubt, but that is a con, because there is that possibility that the audience backlash won't be good. But I trust them to like make the audience reception like actually good for that. Now we can finally get into the pros, because I do have some fun pros with Callie returning. No unfinished plot lines. This isn't even a possibility. This is now a fact now. Like, you brought Callie back. If they didn't, that could have been the one thing they did not tie a bow on, because we're going to get so many answers, like why the Upside Down is stuck on 1983. You know, Henry's backstory lore. Like, just questions that we have had since season 1. Now, we have a chance to get all the answers that we've needed for so long. No unfinished plot lines. You can wrap a bow on everything. And honestly, you could give Callie an actual deserved chance. I feel like Callie's first chance was really badly done. So it's cool that they also are giving Callie as a character a second chance to give a better introduction and a name for herself in this show. You can argue that that is something that could have been warranted, you know, because it was a little unfair how it all went about. I wouldn't even say like it was Callie's, the character's fault in terms of how it was handled at first. The next pro I have is that Lost Sister episode that I just talked about. That episode, very skippable, I'll be honest, on rewatches. Like, I skip it because it just ruins the flow. Granted, I probably will still skip it, but I will probably watch it now. But like, just do it after I finish season 2 and kind of watch it as its own thing. I just feel like it's a lot more digestible that way, because when I watch it in between The Spy and the Mind Flayer. I'm sorry. It took me a while to think of episode 8. But season 2, episode 8, the Mind Flayer. In between those two eps, it's horrible placement. Also one of the reasons why that episode sucks. But the Lost Sister episode could now gain its relevance, because up to this point, before we saw Callie on screen, that episode could have easily been skippable and just go on the wayside, because nothing ever gets brought up in the episode. Like, pretty much, her gang never returns, Callie never returned up to this point. So the Lost episode now could be a little bit more important. You can even kind of make that episode more relevant. It's almost like you just added an episode onto a show and just somehow made that episode a little more important and better, because more importance equals better to me, right? So if it has more long-lasting importance, you can actually make the Lost Sister episode better than it was before received, which would be amazing if they pulled that off. Next, like I said, I did dig into this, redeem Callie as a character, because like I said, I'm not going to go into it again because I just did accidentally when I'm going through my notes and my bullet points, but Callie did not get a good chance at the start. We need to give her a second chance now, and I hope that they actually deliver on giving her a good second chance. I'm just going to put it out there, I'm also all for her being some sort of antagonistic, or maybe she's working with Vecna, or something where she has like evil intent. I am totally cool with that. I feel like that actually would be a really cool way to introduce her if they do it right. Like, there's some cool ways to introduce her now that you've brought her back, and I am very curious now. We're so in the dark with Callie, which is really fun. I like being in the dark, obviously. Like, I don't like knowing too much before I, sit down and watch these episodes on Netflix. This is another pro I have. Relationship with Henry Creel. This is something that has really never been explored on the show before, but it has been teased in season 4 in the lab flashbacks when Henry is talking to a young 11. There are moments where he mentions 8. Like, we acknowledge from Henry that this is when 8 was still here, acknowledging, of course, that she was there and that she escaped the lab way before the massacre happened, obviously. But the existence of 8 is known. It's canon. Obviously, it was canon even before she was returned. But might be a relationship there between Henry and Callie before it was Henry forming a relationship with 11 in the lab that we don't know about. We could easily get into that, and that will be so interesting to explore. And I feel like it almost kind of has to be explored because that's another bit that we're kind of unsure of. So I'm really curious to see what kind of dynamic or relationship we're going to find out with Henry Creel and Callie. There's some cool stuff that can happen there. Is it similar to Ellen Henry? Is it maybe the opposite of Ellen Henry? We will wait and see. And this is the last pro bullet point that I have to wrap up this video. Explaining Callie's journey since we last saw her. Because obviously, if you guys don't remember, at the end of the Lost Sister episode, Elle kind of just goes her separate way with Callie because she sees that her friends are in danger back in Hawkins. Of course, Callie was in Chicago and they were running away from cops, I believe, and Jane just ultimately decided not to go with her and went back to Hawkins. So that was kind of open-ended. We don't know any idea of how the government captured Callie, what they want with Callie. Like, there's so many different components. I feel like we are now warranted an explanation on how the government captured Callie, which would, in theory, I guess, suggest like what she's been doing since we've seen her in season 2. Because remember, there is a 3-year gap from season 2 to season 5. So we don't know what Callie's been up to in those 3 years. We don't have a time frame of when the government captured her. We knew none of that. So now there's a lot of lore elements that can come into play with Callie. And you know what? Bring it on. But that will do it for this quick video because Callie's role and importance and the fact they brought her back is such an important video topic. It has to be discussed. So, are you for or against Callie returning? Are you optimistic? Let me know what you think down below because I know there's a lot of talk. Surely there's going to be a lot of, talk and people out there like I've already seen of Callie coming back. But let's hope that they actually know what they're doing. And I trust them, but let's hope that they actually bring Callie back and do the impossible, damn near, redeem Callie and that episode. Peace out.